They tell you bringing twins home from the hospital is chaos. Double the diapers, double the feedings, double the sleepless nights. No one tells you about the moment you realize one of them might not be yours. I was 28 years old, married 3 years, and desperately in love with the idea of being a mother. When my twins were born after a complicated emergency delivery, I thought the hard part was over. We'd survived the pregnancy, survived the birth, and now we were home. But when my mother walked into the nursery and went pale, when she leaned over those 2 bassinets and said the words that would destroy my marriage, I realized the nightmare was just beginning. This is the story of a hospital mistake that switched bobbies, of 2 mothers who loved the wrong children, and of the impossible choice between the baby you bonded with and the baby whose DNA you share. My mother stood frozen in the nursery doorway, her face drained of color. She wasn't looking at me. She was staring at my newborn twins with an expression I'd never seen before. Not joy, not pride, but something closer to horror. "Sophia," she said, voice shaking, "which hospital did you deliver at?" "St. Anne's Medical Center, 3rd floor maternity." I was adjusting the blue blanket around my son while my daughter slept in the bassinet beside him. "Mom, what's wrong? You look terrified." She stepped closer, professional nurse instincts overriding grandmother emotion. She leaned over my son first, examining his tiny face with clinical precision. Then my daughter, back to my son. Her hands started trembling. "Where's David?" she asked urgently. "Getting bags from the car. Mom, you're scaring me." "These bobbies don't match," she whispered. "Sophia, I worked labor and delivery for 32 years. I've seen thousands of newborns, and I'm telling you right now, your daughter doesn't share a single genetic feature with you or your family. Not one." "What are you talking about?" My voice cracked. "They're fraternal twins. They're not supposed to look identical." "That's not what I mean." Mom pulled me to my feet, away from the bassinets, her voice dropping to an urgent whisper. "Your son has your nose, your chin, your grandmother's bone structure. I can see 3 generations in his face, but your daughter." She trailed off, glancing back at the sleeping baby girl. "Your daughter has strawberry blonde hair when both you and David have brown. Her nose is completely different. Her ears sit higher. The spacing of her eyes, the shape of her face, nothing matches your genetic markers. Nothing." My knees felt weak. "You're saying she's not mine?" "I'm saying 28 years ago, I delivered you at St. Anne's, same hospital. And 3 weeks later, there was a scandal. 2 bobbies were switched during shift change. It took them nearly a month to realize." Her eyes locked on mine. "I think it happened again, and I think your real daughter..." David walked into the nursery carrying shopping bags and wearing that proud new father smile. He'd barely slept in 3 days, but his eyes were bright with exhausted joy. "Okay, I've got diapers formula about 6 different types of..." He stopped, seeing my face. "What happened? Why do you look like that?" "David, come here." My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. "Look at the twins, really look at them." He set the bags down slowly, walking to the bassinets. He looked down at our son, then our daughter. "They're beautiful, why?" "Do they look like they came from the same parents?" I asked. His smile faded. He looked again, more carefully this time. I watched confusion cross his face, then denial, then the first flicker of understanding. "What are you saying, Soph?" "I'm saying," my mother interjected, "that you need to call St. Anne's Hospital right now. Because I don't think that baby girl is yours. And somewhere in Connecticut, another mother went home with your actual daughter." I hadn't thought much about the chaos of my delivery until Mom forced me to remember. March 12th, 2:47 a.m. My water broke 5 days before the scheduled C-section. We'd rushed to St. Anne's, where controlled panic ensued. Labor progressed fast, too fast. By 6 a.m., I was fully dilated, but baby A, my son, had the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. Dr. Martinez made the emergency call to switch to C-section. They'd wheeled me into an operating room filled with strangers, shift change happening in real time. I remembered very little through the anesthesia fog. Pressure, David's terrified face, someone shouting about heart rate, then crying once, twice. You have a boy and a girl, both breathing. We're taking them to get cleaned up. And they were gone. For 45 minutes, I didn't see my bobbies. They were taken to the nursery during shift change, weighed, measured, tagged, monitored. When they finally brought 2 bundles in blue and pink, I was too exhausted to study their faces. I just trusted the bracelets matched, trusted the system. David called St. Anne's and spent an hour being transferred between departments. Mom used her old medical contacts. I sat on the couch staring at 2 bobbies, wondering which one was really mine. Finally, patient advocacy took us seriously. We can have a mobile phlebotomist at your home in 4 hours for DNA collection. Results fast-tracked, 48 hours. The phlebotomist arrived at 6 p.m. Kind woman, 50s, gentle hands as she swabbed the inside of both Bobby's cheeks, then mine, then David's. She sealed the samples in bags with clinical efficiency. The hospital is treating this as priority, she assured us before leaving. 48 hours. 2 days to know if one of the Bobbies I'd been bonding with for 3 days belonged to someone else. 2 days to wonder if somewhere nearby, another woman was holding my actual daughter without knowing it. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every time I looked at Emma, the baby girl, I saw a stranger. Every time I looked at Lucas, my son, I saw family. Thursday, 9:47 a.m. My phone rang. St. Anne's Medical Center patient advocacy. Mrs. Thompson, this is Victoria Chen. I need you and your husband at the hospital this morning. We have your results. Just tell me over the phone, I begged. This is something we need to discuss in person. Can you be here by 11? David's mother came to watch the twins. We drove in silence. I couldn't feel my hands. In a sterile 4th-floor conference room, 3 people sat across from us. Patient Advocacy Director, Hospital Legal Counsel, and Dr. Martinez. Folders, grave faces. I'm so sorry, Victoria began. There's no easy way to say this. Your son Lucas is biologically yours, both of you. DNA confirms it. But Emma, she paused. Emma is not your biological daughter. The room tilted. David's hand crushed mine. What happened? His voice strangled. There was another mother. Her name was Rachel Pierce. 26, single mother living in Stamford, 45 minutes away. She delivered at 2:53 a.m., just 6 minutes after my twins were born. Emergency C-section. Same OR, same shift change chaos. Someone had switched the bracelets, sent Emma home with me, sent my biological daughter, Rachel had named her Lily, home with her. The hospital arranged a meeting Friday morning. Neutral territory, their family conference room. Both mothers, both Bobbies, social workers, lawyers, administrators. I walked in carrying Emma. Rachel walked in carrying a baby with David's nose and my grandmother's chin. My daughter, my actual daughter. Rachel's eyes met mine across the room, and I saw my own horror reflected back. I named her Lily, she said, voice breaking as she looked at Emma in my arms. I've been calling her Lily for 3 days. I named her Emma, I whispered, looking at the stranger baby in her arms who was actually mine. I've been calling her Emma. The social workers explained the plan. Gradual transition over 1 week. Joint supervised visits. Counseling for both families. Legal support for potential hospital lawsuits. But logistics didn't matter. What mattered was that I had to give back a baby I'd bonded with and take home a baby who felt like a stranger. Rachel and I started talking daily. She was alone, no partner to share the grief with, which made it both easier and harder. She had no one to blame, no one to be angry at except the hospital. Her family supported her. Mine judged me. You should just keep the baby you bonded with, David's mother suggested. DNA doesn't matter. You're her mother now. But I couldn't keep Rachel's biological daughter while she kept mine. Couldn't build a family on a mistake. After 6 weeks, the transition completed. Lucas and Lily lived with us. Emma lived with Rachel. We'd gone from twins to siblings separated at birth. From one family to 2 families forever connected by trauma. David couldn't handle the transition. Couldn't cope with the guilt of bonding with the wrong baby. Couldn't manage the confusion of having 2 daughters, one biological, one not, both of whom had been his. "I can't look at Lily without seeing Emma," he admitted 3 weeks in. "And I can't look at Emma when Rachel brings her over without feeling like we kidnapped her." He started working late, sleeping in the guest room, avoiding the bobbies during crying fits. Our marriage cracked under the weight of a trauma neither of us had tools to process. "I need space," he said 2 months post-transition. "Our daughters need their father," I replied. "I don't know how to be a father to a baby I didn't bond with," he admitted. "And I don't know how to be around the one I did bond with knowing she's not mine." He filed for divorce 3 months after we brought the twins home. The papers arrived on what should have been a celebration of surviving the newborn phase. Instead, it marked the death of our family. I'm writing this from my Hartford apartment where Lucas and Lily, my biological twins, just turned 1 year old. They're starting to look more alike as they grow, which helps when strangers ask questions. Rachel and I have joint custody of Emma. She's legally Emma Grace Pierce now. I see her every other weekend, and Rachel brings her to holidays. She's my daughter in every way except biology. Lily is my daughter in every way except early memory. The hospital settled our lawsuit. 3 nurses were fired. New protocols implemented. But no policy can give me back those first 3 days of my biological daughter's life. David remarried last month. He sees Lucas and Lily on scheduled weekends, but can't be around Emma. "Too painful," he says. I think it's easier for him to pretend the switch never happened. Rachel and I aren't friends exactly, but we're family now, connected by the impossible bond of raising each other's daughters. If there's a moral here, it's that the systems protecting our most vulnerable moments can fail catastrophically. And when they do, the damage echoes for years. It's that maternal bonds form instantly and irrationally, paying no attention to DNA. It's that love isn't always logical, and biology isn't always destiny. My mother's trained eye saved us from a lifetime of not knowing, but knowing came with unbearable costs. I gained my biological daughter but lost the daughter I bonded with first. I lost my marriage. I lost the future I'd imagined. People ask if I regret discovering the truth, if ignorance would have been kinder. I look at Lily, who has my grandmother's laugh and my temper. I look at Emma during weekend visits, who has Rachel's gentleness and creativity. I look at Lucas, who connects them all.